Welcome to the Diabetes Empowerment Summit. This year, I'm excited to be a co-host of the Diabetes Empowerment Summit. My name is Kiana Drew, and I am an actress, a singer, and I'm also founder of Diabetic Wellness Culture, which is a movement that I've started, and eventually I will be doing more with that platform to help people set the foundation for wellness despite diabetes. Myself, I've had diabetes for, it's going to be 19 years now, and I'm really excited today to bring a special guest on, and it's none other than the founder of the Diabetes Empowerment Summit, Miss Daniele Hargenrader herself.
Thank you, Anna.
So I'm super excited to be a part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be asking you some questions about things that I don't know about you. And I know there's a number of people who are interested in getting to know you a bit more.
Yeah, and just for everybody who's watching, just so you know, she didn't tell me any of these questions ahead of time. So I'm going to be as on the edge as you are about figuring out what's coming next.
Yes. And she told me like everything, everything on the table. So I'm really excited about it. I want to let people know that you've been doing the Diabetes Empowerment Summit. You've been hosting this for the last 4 years. Thousands of people have been able to have access to this, and it's really helped people to inspire them, empower them, educate them on managing their diabetes going forward, and let us know a little bit about people who have kind of reached back out to you, because we don't get to see that behind the scenes of people reaching back out to you and letting you know how this has impacted their life.
Oh, well, I kind of wish I had pulled up, because I get, I pull quotes from every year. We get lots of emails and feedback and, DMs and all the things. And there have just been so many over the years. We've people from over 20 countries that have joined us. And as Kiana said, kind of the thing that started this entire event was, having been a coach for 10 years, I would always be talking to people and being a huge supporter of peer support, of connecting or listening or talking or observing other people who live with diabetes or whatever thing that you may be finding challenging in your life. Just having that community actually heals us. So I'm always saying to people, go to this conference, go to that conference, do this and that. Oftentimes the response was, I don't have the money for that, because when you go to a conference, you have to pay for your airfare, your registration for the conference, which can range in a lot of huge ranges, hotel, food, etc. And these are people just like you and me that are just like, look, I have kids, I have a job, like whatever, I can't do that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to create this online event that has the caliber of speakers that you would find at an in-person event, and also create ways that people can interact in the background, and then have it be free, because that felt like a need. And that's what I do, is I try to listen to hear what people are saying, and then that's how I use my creative process. And so 4 years ago, I think it was correct, because we've been now doing it for 4 years and we grow every year, and people give us this feedback. And I mean, I have had CDEs reach out and say, watching some of the interviews between myself and different people, when we talk about mental health, we talk about emotional health or spiritual health, or having that be the aspect that we really focus on here, has changed the way that they interact with their patients, because it was all about nutrition and fitness, which of course we have to talk about that too. But I feel like managing diabetes, at least in my experience and having been coaching for so long, is like 20% medical and 80% mental. Like that's really how I feel like, and we need to focus on that more, both individually and like in the clinical setting as well. So yeah. I hope that helps.
Oh, definitely helps. And a little story that I want to share on here. I came across you by doing a Google search of diabetic health coaches a whole 3 years ago.
Wow.
And I then saw the Diabetes Empowerment Summit as something that, that interested me. And I had never heard of any diabetes conferences. Actually, this is my first time. It was my first time immersing myself in the journey ahead to dominate my diabetes, as you coined it. And so I purchased the summit so that I can have VIP access, which was, I have it forever. And it was so funny right before, preparing for today. I thought it was 2 years ago, but I didn't realize it was 2017.
Yeah.
It was in 2017. And it was very helpful and inspiring, and just to hear all these other people just like myself with type 1 diabetes, and how they were managing it, and everyone, manages it the best way they know how for them.
Yes.
There is no one way to go about it, and it was very refreshing to be able to see different people from different walks of life and how they manage their diabetes. I mean, from medical professionals to just everyday real people. And that's what I actually love about the Diabetes Empowerment. You do Empowerment Summit, about the Diabetes Empowerment Summit. You actually have real life, day-to-day people showing you how they navigate their diabetes and telling their stories and sharing their triumphs and their ups and their downs, because we all have them with diabetes. So I thought
absolutely.
That is great.
Thank you for sharing that. I just want to say, and I think what you said was so important, just want to bring it back around, because that is kind of one of the foundations of the event, is that we, or certainly me, and we at this team here, Diabetes Dominator, Diabetes Empowerment Summit, Love Yourself to Health, we have a very firm and solid belief and knowledge that there is no one way to manage diabetes well. That is one of the most important things that we do in our coaching and in everything we put out there, whether it's a free event like this. Is like, but I want to bring all of the aspects. So like, we'll have people on talking about a high carb diet and people talking about a low carb diet. It's not that I'm telling you that's what you need to do, but what I'm hoping to do is encourage you to dig deeper into your own feelings and let joy and feeling good and feeling comfortable with what you need be the guiding light, versus like, well, this expert said this is the only way I can manage my diabetes. That is where it becomes really emotionally painful, because we all can't fit into one box, and there are tons of ways you can live super healthfully with diabetes. So I want to bring perspectives on people who are doing it well this way, people doing it well this way, so you can get a little bit more insight into what might sound like something you want to explore further. None of this is for me to say this is the only way that you can manage diabetes. That's, if anybody ever says that to you, that's kind of a red flag. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And I tried different ways and then found the one that worked for me. And I think it's safe to say that every person with diabetes is almost like their own walking science experiment. So, so go ahead and take that time to explore what works for you. And the Diabetes Empowerment Summit is one way to go about finding out different ways, different avenues, and how different people from all over the place are doing it. So very encouraging and empowering. I want to know more about your book.
Okay.
Unleash Your Inner Diabetes Dominator.
Okay.
When did you write the book? Was it before the Diabetes Empowerment Summit? It was.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, the first time I ever wrote any part of the book was 2011. And I always, anytime I talk about the book, it was published in 2015. I wrote the bulk of it in 2014, but it was 2011 where I'd become a personal trainer, and I was already finding people just naturally, divinely, I would say, that had diabetes, that needed help, and that I was able to help. And so I started writing down the systems or the thoughts or the ways that I was able to help myself and the ways that I was able to help other people. And it was like just in a Word document, just sitting on my computer. And then eventually it got to the point where I was like, I really want to make this a real book. And then, so like in 2014, and half of 2015, it became a daily practice, writing, figuring it out. First time I ever wrote a book. Very challenging process. I'm not going to ever say that writing a book is, oh yeah, it's a piece of cake. No. But 2015, it got published. And then I think the first Diabetes Empowerment Summit, which was 100% actually focused on peer support, right? So this, we've been kind of bringing it back to mental health since then, but peer support, in my opinion, is mental health support. They're like, they go together. Mm-hmm. So the book was published in 2015, and then the first summit was in 2016. And yeah, it's, I've got so many, I don't know. I feel, I'm still one of those people that's like, oh yeah, I read this book. It's great. Like it sustains me to continue to get people writing me about some one little sentence that I wrote that was like, that triggered something in me. And I was just like, okay, I did the right thing. Okay. Cause I'm not some like person that's like, yeah, I got everything down and I just know everything's great. Even though I may come off that way, I'm human. And I also am nervous about putting work out into the world. And so I still get good feedback on it. And I'm very proud of it. So yeah.
That's wonderful. I wanted to talk to you also a bit about, let's talk about what's going on in the world. I almost want to start singing a Marvin Gaye song.
I would come here for that. Mm-hmm.
Right? What's going on? And, you know, with what's going on, what helpful tools can you share to slow things down? Even though we're in the middle of a pandemic and it's almost like things have slowed down, but the emotions are coming up and all of these feelings that you're now having to sit with, fear and uncertainty. What would you say to people who are searching for a way to center and get through?
I would say the number one piece of advice is control your intake of information with a guarded door. Be the guard standing at the door of the information that you allow into your brain, body, and spirit, because they're all connected. And I mean, I think so Kiana, you know, she, in a group that I run as well, and back in, you know, I think it was March 13th, I put out a video just in the group. This is a very special container that I've built. I call it my curated corner of the internet, where we focus on self-love as a healing practice. And there was a lot of uncertainty going on, just like I'm uncertain too, but I am 100% certain that if we just blindly kind of like allow our eyes to soak in all of the media, we are encouraging extreme fear. And when we're in a place of extreme fear, we cannot make grounded, centered, intuitively informed decisions about ourselves or anything else in our lives. So please just, if you are addicted to the news, you know, whether it's cold turkey and you just kind of cut it off, or you just, whatever the case may be, because one of the things I said in the video was, how often are you watching the news where, you know, something that you are watching is actually going to change the way you're going to live that day? If it is, and I get in a pandemic, that might be the case, but most of us, like you said, we're kind of like, we're just in a waiting period to see. I know I live in Philadelphia. We're still, you know, in the yellow, like where it's still, most things are closed. We're still, and we're in a high population area. But it's not, I don't need to watch the news every day to know whether or not it's safe to go out without a mask. I'm not going to go into a supermarket without a mask, and I'm not going to, you know, fight with anybody about it. But it's like, my mom has cancer. I'm not going to go around, and I'm not worried about me getting COVID, and not to say flippantly, but I have a belief in psychoneuroimmunology, which is in my book, which means what you think about, you manifest. I believe that if I get COVID, I will live. I'm sure I will suffer. I'm sure it'll be terrible, and I don't want it. But I also have a solid sense of like, okay, well, I'm healthy and I have an immune system that's, you know, I believe in, and I'll fight it, but I don't want to risk bringing that back to my mother. So, I mean, I'm just don't try to do a lot of spiritual self-care, I guess would be, and I know that might be a concept that might be hard to grasp, but it's really not if you just do it. And that things are like journaling, meditation, deep breathing practices, making time in your day for that. Not saying, oh, I'm going to put it on the back burner. It's like, no, like if you have time to watch the news, you have time to do a 10-minute gratitude stacking exercise, right? Where you just sit down and you stack all your gratitude on top of each other. There's so many, and that's spiritual self-care. Prayer, whatever that means to you, religious or not, I'm not going to get into that, doesn't matter. Prayer is prayer. God is God. Love is love. Like, it doesn't matter the source energy that you're praying to, connect with that source energy much more often. Connect in with that, because if you're connected into the media, you are connected away from source, period. Mm-hmm. So just stand guard at the door of your mind, because there are so many people trying to get in there to make you scared and controlled. So try to pull away from that a little bit. That's probably my biggest piece of advice.
Right. And that's also going to help. I mean, what I've noticed during this time in the beginning, I've gotten a handle on it now because I have unplugged. I stopped watching the news so much, and I was one who was watching the news way too much, and just seeing the numbers on the top of the screen of how many COVID cases, we don't talk about who lives, but we're talking about, right. You know, and it spikes that fear, and it's okay to look for that information, to be well informed, but to keep it on all day.
Right. And
all they're doing is just rotating that energy, and it's just circulating.
It's a vicious cycle.
Yeah. But my sugars were all over the place at that point. And I feel it had to do with my cortisol levels, stress-induced cortisol levels. And I had to just disconnect and just say, I'm not going to look at that. Even with social media, it was just,
Yes.
especially with recently Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
I felt, being someone of color, I was getting inundated with just too much from personal text messages and social media platforms, and it was the TV, and just too much. And I had to do the same thing, just take a moment, sit back, and find my center. And that really does take going inward, exactly what you said.
And it sounds like you drew boundaries as well. Like,
yes,
it's okay if someone texts you and you don't respond right away. It's okay. You can create those boundaries for your own processing and get back to things when you need to. That's so important. And you're doing that. And I am so grateful, because we need your energy protected. So, yes.
Yes. So I identify with that. I agree with you there. So that's actually what I did.
Good.
I wanted to ask you a few questions. I feel Oprah is Oprah, Mama Oprah. But something that I love that she does ask people in her interviews is, what do you know for sure? Mm-hmm. And I love that question. Mm. And Danielle, I kind of look at you as someone who, you have like an ancient wisdom, I feel. Like you just have like an innate one that I know that it's a God gift. So I want you to share with me, what do you know for sure?
Oh my. Well, so normally I already know it's in my mind, and there's still a big part of me that wants to, filter it, because, how I look or what people think. But what I know for sure is that life is magic, and that every single person that is alive is a magical, divine, loving manifestation of source. And that's probably what Oprah would say too. But I also know that for sure. I actually literally just got goosebumps as I said it. And that I do believe that we as a human race can create a better world for everyone, and know we have the capacity for it. I know we have the love in our hearts for it, and it's just a matter of being willing to look at ourselves without getting angry or defensive, and just saying, hey, I may have done something wrong. Admit that you're wrong. I would say that's probably one of the healthiest things that any human being can do. I know that admitting when you're wrong is a path to growth and more love. And so just non-judgmentally, be non-judgmental with yourself, be non-critical with yourself, but be willing to open up your perspectives and live into that magic that you are. It's an Albert Einstein quote. I say it all the time, or people that, are in my group, or you'll hear, it's like, and I'm going to butcher it, but the point is, it's like, there's only two ways to look at life. If everything is a miracle, or that nothing is a miracle. I know that everything is a miracle, and I live my life in that knowledge. So if that's what I know, that's what I know.
Everything is a miracle. I love that. I love that. And then I'm also going to ask you, what is your mantra? What is your mantra?
Just one? I have so many.
Let's see. 3 mantras. And under diabetes.
Diabetes mantras.
Diabetes mantras.
I believe in my ability to figure things out. That's probably my number one diabetes mantra. I believe in my ability to figure things out. If there's
yourself.
Trust yourself, yes. And then I have a mantra for presence, which is like staying in the now. And I say, I am here, I am now, I am love. I say that, I can just repeat it. I'll repeat it in my mind so many times that it actually doesn't even make sense anymore. But it keeps me centered in the present moment, when I'm just like everyone else, doing my best to maintain my thoughts, and understand that I'm not my thoughts, that I am the observer. I'm the awareness that observes my thoughts. And so I need to just be present so that awareness can be in control, versus the thoughts that are just crazy noise. So I try to use that one to center myself a lot.
I am here, I am now, I am love.
Yep. I say that every day. I'm certain that I say that every day in my mind. I don't even know if I say it out loud. We have to ask Bill about that one, but or my cat, because they're the people around the house listening to me. I talk to myself all the time. And the other one is, and it's a lot has to do with love, but I love, I allow, I accept, I create. And so I believe all humans are creators, like whatever that means. And it doesn't mean like we all have our creative expression, not like we all need to be Van Gogh or like, you know, Maya Angelou level writers or whatever that expression that we do. It doesn't need to be, in fact, it's not even meant to be like museum level stuff. To be creative is to be human, is to be connected to that source energy, whatever that means for you. I know you have that with singing and dancing and all, and I feel I have it with writing and cooking and just coloring. I love to color. That's creative expression. So when I say that, I believe that came to me because I meditate a lot and I get a lot of messages. Yes, I am that person, but I get messages and it's like, I feel like that's the creative process. How you do it from a place where you just trust that whatever's going to come out of it is going to be what's right. It's like first you love, then you allow, not you force, because I think that's what everybody's always trying to do. Grind it out, force it out, you know, all that. It's like, no, I love, I allow, I accept. Whatever comes, I accept, because first I loved and then I allowed. Now I accept, and then that causes creation. Whatever that is that I'm creating, could be an email. It could be, but that's like my mantra of probably life. You're like really getting a lot out of me here. You're really making me.
I love it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the book, The Artist's Way.
Yes.
The Artist's Way? Yeah.
So The Artist's Way, and I'm looking to me because it's not here, but that's the journal I use every day. So there's an Artist's Way journal by Julia Cameron, who's one of my sheroes. And The Artist's Way has been highly influential in both my life and my husband Bill's life. And we use the Artist's Way journal every day.
Oh, yes. See, look, I didn't know that. And I just automatically felt it.
We're here.
Like, yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I want to know, just going on, moving forward into, you know, present and what you see for yourself in the future, with regard to the Diabetes Empowerment Summit. Also, you went by the Diabetes Dominator for a while, but now you are Danielle Love. You embody love. You do.
I do.
I feel like I'm a little bit older than you, but I feel like you're mother love.
Oh, and I appreciate that. And I feel like that too, because I don't have the desire to procreate. And I struggled with that for a long time in my younger years, like what's wrong with me? But I do feel a very maternal instinct towards humanity, whatever that means. Like I'm there for it. And I appreciate you saying that. And I remember it's funny that you were calling me and Bill your mom and dad, which was cracking me up.
Yeah.
But yeah, the future. So I'm just going to be completely honest. So I mean, Diabetes Dominator coaching still exists. You know, you go to my website. You know, I still do diabetes coaching. It's never going to go away because I'm always going to have diabetes, and it's always going to be a passion for me. However, I've expanded into teaching self-love as a practice, as a lifestyle, because what I found is through all of my diabetes coaching is that, and I know that's a very broad general term, but I dial it in very specifically about what that means as a daily practice, a thought process, a perspective shift. And that's what I find is that when someone comes to me, for example, like I want to lose weight, I want to lower my A1C, I want to have a better relationship with food, whatever it is, there's so many, those are usually probably the top 3 reasons why people come to me for diabetes coaching. But what I find is when we really dig down into what's missing, which is usually a deep value of self, deep like reverence for your existence, all of a sudden magically that relationship that you have with nutrition or the relationship you have with physical fitness, it's not like it's just everything's perfect, but all of a sudden you have like this spaciousness around it where you're like, whoa, I was like looking at this from a completely different or maybe muddled perspective before, and now I have a different perspective, so it's easier for me to relate with the way I feed myself. It's much easier for me to relate with the way I move my body because I deserve it and it's joyful and I love myself, not because like this is a burden and I have to do this because, oh, it's so annoying that I have to eat. A lot of people come at it with that burden mentality when feeding and moving your body is one of the 2 of the biggest blessings that exist in the world. So when we switch our burden mindset to a blessing mindset, things just seem to work out. And I can say that because I've been doing this for 10 years now, and maybe the first couple of years I'd be like, yeah, I'm clearly like a wackadoo a little bit, but no, it actually works. And I'm as much as I'm into woo-woo, I'm into science. Like I think people who know me know I'm all about that science life, but I also know that I don't need to see it to believe it. That's something that was an evolution too. I didn't always feel that way. So Yeah.
It is a process of practice.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
what it is. And then
Faith.
you start with that relationship with yourself.
Yep.
And when you're able to have a stronger relationship with yourself, then you can have a stronger relationship with all the other things that are in your life, relationships with other people, your relationship with your diabetes.
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Where you can then, what is your mantra again? I know the second one is allow, and then it's accept. What's the first one?
I love.
It is?
Love. I love.
It is. I love.
Love
I allow. See, look, there it is.
Love first.
Love, allow, accept,
create.
Create. Look at that.
That's it. That's the process. That's my process. So, yeah.
That's so true. I love that. Oh, this is so great, Danielle. So I am, let's see, how are we going to close this? What is, I have notes here.
That's okay.
What's my last note here?
This is real life, y'all. This is not scripted.
So this is going to be my last question.
Mm-hmm.
What is one thing you would tell your younger self about diabetes management that would empower you? And maybe it's too much to say one thing.
No, it's possible. It's possible to manage your diabetes well and actually enjoy your life. Because if you would have told me that, so I'm going on 30 years with diabetes now, and for the first 15 were extraordinarily tumultuous, to say the very least. You know, I know a lot of people are coming in now and they see me standing here with you saying all this stuff. This is me after 15 years of consistent self-development, self-exploration, experimentation, but from a place of love and curiosity, not a place of anger and hatred of myself, because I spent 15 years there. 15 years of self-loathing, of loathing diabetes, of blame and shame and guilt and pity, just all eating disorder, which I will talk more about when I get to interview you. All kinds of, clinical depression, antidepressant. I mean, 15 years of my 30 of diabetes were spent in that realm. So I think that what would have been helpful for me as a teenager, where I could have comprehended it, would have it's 100% possible to build a healthy relationship with diabetes that actually is joyful. That's probably it. I know it sounds simplistic, but just hearing that, I didn't even know anybody else with diabetes till I was in my late 20s. And I got it when I was 8. This just turned 9. So it was a lonely road of a lot of doubt and almost certainty that I could never live a life that was joyful. So I'd tell her that it is possible, far beyond. So, yeah.
Wow. I feel that way too. I spent a long time. You definitely got me by 10 years. I'm going to be 19 in July.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like it was going to be impossible.
Yeah.
And so then you start to accept that. Yeah. And that's one thing that, don't accept any negativity.
Well, honor your I'm not looking. I think I'm all about feeling all your emotions. I'm not that. I'm just saying for people who are watching, it's not like I'm like, oh, only positive vibes, or I'm not downing anybody, but I think that's kind of toxic, because emotions are meant to be felt, processed, sat with, acknowledged, embraced, including anger, rage, all of these things. They have to be sat with. They have to be treated like a kid, a child. You have to cradle that and write about it and scream about it and whatever you need to do throughout your process. But knowing that is a part of it, of a release, of a releasing process. And that's ongoing, just like loving is ongoing, just like forgiving is ongoing, all of these things. It's not just none of this. Diabetes management is never one and done. It's not like we could ever just take one shot or one bolus, or anything, one A1C. It's for the long haul. And I'd love to say, oh yeah, we're going to have a cure in 5 years. But I think that's the ongoing joke for the diabetes community, is that, they told me 5 years, almost 30 years ago. So you got to make the best of what you got.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Danielle. It was great interviewing you. I'm so excited about being the co-host of the Diabetes Empowerment Summit and working alongside you.
I'm so grateful to have you here. And I mean, I know a lot of people out there watching. Some people that know us better will know, but Kiana and I just met like 2 years ago, like not even. And I just knew immediately upon meeting her, I'm talking to people out there, but like that you had something that I needed to know more about. Like I was just like, I love this woman. I don't know what she's up to, but I'm going to find out. And look here, a couple of years later, it's like, here you are. It's like, that's just the way things work. Don't doubt yourself because yeah, anything's possible.
And I know anything is possible. To go back into my email and see that I actually bought the Diabetes Empowerment Summit in 2017.
I know. And I didn't even know.
And I didn't know I was going to meet you.
Yeah,
I had no idea. I just was like, oh, this is awesome. So she's a diabetic health coach. And, you know, and this was just super early on when I just had that desire to want to help other people. And at that time, I was already about a year into college studying nutrition. And then I was starting to look into coaches. I'm like, are there any diabetic health coaches? And then I found you. So shout out to Google.
Shout out to my husband who works on my SEO.
Shout out to your husband, right?
Yes, he's my tech guy and my partner in life, and you know him too. You know, so you know he's the biggest supporter. So
yes. And I read you guys' book. I love that book. Just hearing that backstory for you guys out there who are watching. Danielle and her husband Bill have a book that they co-wrote together. Love, Forgive. Do you have a copy there?
I don't. Oh, wait, no, I do. Go ahead.
She has a copy. Love, Forgive, Never Give Up.
I actually do have a copy.
Yes.
I didn't, and that wasn't on purpose either. This is the workstation, so there's books on the workstation.
That's a good book, but you'll learn more about, you know, Danielle and a bit more about your upbringing and, you know, being diagnosed, your father, and more about your husband and their dynamic duo, those.
Yeah. We're very appreciative of our love. We know that it's not easy to find that person, and that we happened upon each other the way we did at a nightclub in Cancun, Mexico. That was grace. That was divine intervention. So I never lose sight of that. 14 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Miracles happening every day.
All the time.
So they say it's not really love in Cancun.
That's what I thought
it is. No.
No, that's what I thought too. As I say, don't ever judge a book by its cover or what happens the first time you meet someone, because you never know. A year later, you might be married. So.
Yep. You never know. Well, this has been lovely. Thank you for allowing me to interview you. And I know everyone out there got some pretty cool tidbits about you and, you know, about how you live life and how you go about learning, loving, acceptance. And I know, just speaking to you, you know, I always get little bits of what I call gems of wisdom every time I talk to you. So thank you.
You're on deck. I can't wait to interview you.
I'm next. I'm up next. He's going to interview me. This is pretty cool. I love it.
Cool.
So you guys stay tuned. There will be a reversal of this. And Danielle will be asking you questions. More to come. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And tune into the next, all the other interviews at the Diabetes Summit following this one. Bye.